Hey guys, it's us again.
Yep.
We got a nice movie for you today. It's Deep Star 6, an underrated underwater horror movie.
Yeah, and I just watched this last night with Xeno too, and I was not really expecting much, considering it's just one of those, like, it was a low budget, wasn't it?
It was a low budget movie compared to what we saw in the 80s. You remember the 80s, right? That was the time of the underwater thrillers and horror movies. We had movies like The Abyss, which is probably by far the most well known.
That was by James Cameron.
Yeah, then there was Leviathan, and then there was this one, and I'm sure there's more of these. By the way, just like to get this out, if you guys, any of my viewers, or clan members, or whatever, if you guys know more movies like this, feel free to send us suggestions, because we would like to check them out. I love anything that has to do with underwater, so go ahead. I would like to have some submissions. Anyway, Deep Star 6, I guess, had a bad impact because people expected more. After The Abyss, I don't know, I guess one's expectations for movies like this were a little higher.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably a bigger budget movie than this as well, and the fact James Cameron, I think, was well known by that point.
Oh yeah, it was.
And, yeah, I think this one just got a bit overshadowed, and maybe it didn't happen a whole lot as much as The Abyss did, but it still had its own little charm.
Yeah, I mean, I could imagine what the common complaints about this movie were. This is usually seen as a creature flick, and that's why I got it in the first place. But the creature they deal with is not that much in this movie. Now, it does have an impact on the plot, because with the appearance of a creature, everything goes downhill from there. But it's not just the creature that causes issues here. But in my opinion, that was not a big deal.
The creature did cause a bit of a problem, but I would say he was 20% of the problem and all. He may have started the problem, but
exactly.
It just escalated by the fact that you're under sea. You're in the deep darkness of the blue sea, and you're decompressed. You're surrounded by pressure in the water, and that's the biggest danger of this movie. It's not so much the creature; it's the fact you're about a few miles underneath the water. Yeah,
the creature just adds to the menace, but the creature does play an important role, because it is what keeps them from rectifying the situation. Because it's like, hey, you want to fix your underwater base? Well, go swimming with that killer monster there.
Yeah, have fun swimming with the creature.
We're not gonna give away what it is, but we'll tell you it is original. I give it that. I haven't seen many like this. Actually, here's a hint. It reminded me of one of the very early Godzilla movies, but you'll see what I mean.
It's not really that big.
It's not a huge monster, but I meant in way of design. It reminded me of it.
Yeah.
It's something you don't see too often. With underwater movies, it's either sharks, or it's an octopus, or a kraken, or whatever. It's none of that. It's something else.
It's something completely different, something you never heard of, something you can't really imagine, and unless you do not know your biology very well, then you won't have any idea of what creature it relates to.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess going down the cast, there isn't really much to say.
Unfortunately, I mean, it could be a good thing for a movie, and it can be a bad thing to have actors that nobody knows, because it gives those, well, not that popular ones a chance to shine, to convince people, yeah, we're not that bad. But I guess with a few exceptions, this cast is a little bland, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I wasn't too thrilled with them. I mean, not only did I not know any of them, but yeah, they didn't really blow up my skirt, I guess, on their acting parts. But there were some I felt for, some I did not, some I felt were a little rushed.
Yeah, I mean, I think my favorite character was James Richardson, who was played by Matt McCoy. He was pretty cool. He brought a little humor to the whole situation. But other than that, I'm afraid there's not a whole lot worth mentioning here. It's like, none of these actors. At least I don't.
The only actor I felt stood out the most, only because he was the one that caused a problem during everyone's escape and evidently screwing their lives up, was Snyder, played by Miguel Ferrer, and I don't even know this actor. I
didn't either, but I think, yeah, he's the second one that stood out for me, simply because his role was given, a little more space. It's sort of, this movie treated its cast very much like Alien did. None of them stood out too much. I mean, I still figured who would survive this, unfortunately, right from the start.
Yeah, I kind of figured it.
But for most time, they treated everyone equally. Everyone got their share of the screen time, and I like that. You know, I really like that when movies do that and not just focus on one or two characters all the time, and the others are just there to die. That's how I see it.
I just hate it when they set up a character and you feel for the character, but he's not on screen that much, but you feel bad he dies anyway. Like Captain Philip Laidlaw.
Yeah, I did feel for him, even though I didn't know him that much. He was sympathetic.
Yeah, he was a dad, he had a wife and kids, and he was looking forward to seeing them. Oh, guess what? He dies.
So yeah, that was a spoiler right there, but hey, you're watching a horror movie, so obviously some of the cast die, and guess what? In horror movies, as far as my recollection of facts go, the leader of a group never survives. Never. But anyway,
well, not much really to say about this. You want to give out the rating, or do you want to keep going?
I want to keep going.
Okay.
Let's talk about special effects. There's quite a few underwater shots here. Unfortunately, even on my DVD, the image quality wasn't really that good, which probably could be a reason why this movie wasn't received so well, because, you know, when you're underwater, you're dealing with an underwater base, you expect to see great visuals, but I'm afraid that maybe it was a budget, but this movie didn't have that great underwater effects. I mean, they're not horrible. I mean, it wasn't CGI, for one thing. It was bland. It was a little bland. It looked a little like green screen sometimes. I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's like the models, they rather cheap models, they stuck out like a sore thumb in the middle of that blue screen. That sometimes didn't even look like water. I guess that's the only major complaint I have about this movie. The underwater sequences are very fake, I'm afraid. But if you can look past that, then you got a good movie. The sets themselves were quite impressive. I mean, they're claustrophobic, kind of reminded me of Leviathan or Alien in their style. Very much Alien, by the way. If you pay attention to some of the corridors they have on that station, they look like right out of Alien, but they're not identical. So
you know what I couldn't help but notice, just for one thing to add up to a sense of thriller or adrenaline. It's when the creature is released or something, released out of the caverns, I guess we'll assume. That's not too much of a spoiler.
Yeah, that's basically the plot of the movie. I'm going to explain that real quick. All they do is they find an underwater cave because they have a missile silo down there. They got to remove that they want to check out that cave they found. It's huge. So they blow up the entrance to get a hole into it, and that releases the creature. I guess that's the only thing we can give away about the plot.
Yeah, but what I was going to sum up is that they have a meter tracker that tracks movement outside.
Yeah, some sort of radar or something.
Yeah, it totally reminded me of Aliens a little bit there, because... Yeah. And that's what kind of spiced up the adrenaline there. And it's like the guys are seeing something on the radar and they're like, holy shit, 300 meters, 200, god damn, this thing is huge, 100 meters, it's so fast!
That was pretty good, actually, but yeah, now that I think about it, this movie borrowed a lot from other movies, but you know what, it wasn't a bland rip-off in my opinion.
Nah.
I mean, the acting, considering these guys were all no-names, was pretty good. And that was the biggest strength about this movie, in my opinion. The acting was great, and the set quality was pretty good too.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, underwater sequences and all that, not that great. Good. The creature design was pretty cool, and it was not CGI.
It was original.
Good old animatronics and guys in suits, but hey, looked okay.
Hey, I love that stuff, okay? Sue me, I was born in that generation of animatronics.
So was I, and I prefer it over CGI any day, to be perfectly honest. There is CGI done right, sometimes, but it's really hard to find.
That's Jurassic Park.
Yeah, wherever Jurassic Park did use CGI, but it was still good. So...
I like the early beginnings of CGI, but we'll always prefer animatronics.
Yeah, at least I will. So yeah, the rating. What should we give this movie? Well, I was literally surprised about the rating of this movie on IMDb. It's a lousy 4.5. To be honest, yeah, I see what they criticize here, but guys, this is not justified. This movie deserves at least a little better than that. It is average at the worst, in my opinion.
This is a movie that tried.
Yeah, I tried, but unfortunately, I tried at a very bad time.
Yeah.
I guess that's a problem. But anyway.
I still would have been fair.
Okay, so IMDb says 4.5. What do you say?
Reborn says 7. A fair, solid 7.
That is a good rating. In my opinion, when I saw this movie for a first time, unfortunately under bad circumstances, I rated it a 6.5. Because it didn't thrill me as much. But when I watched it again yesterday for the second time, and I guess I paid more attention to it, I say, yeah, also a 7. You see, this movie is very much like Leviathan. I saw them both, like, in a row. I guess that's why I didn't rate this movie as high at first, because it felt so similar. They're really similar. But I guess if you take a break in between those movies, they get better individually. Which of the two is better? I say they're equal. Pretty much. I mean, there's not a big difference. Yeah, I can't say that either of them is so much better than the other.
Yeah.
So, yeah. 7 from both of us, I guess. So, stay tuned for our next review, which is going to be Predators, for real this time.
Oh yeah.
See you later.
Adios.